What's up, guys? It's Jeremy from 3Up Gaming, bringing you a new series called 3Up Discussion, in which I'm going to talk about just stuff that I have on my mind and whatever I feel like talking about in a specific time. And if you read the title, you obviously know what I'm going to be talking about today, which is the whole Hideo Kojima Konami drama that's going on right now with Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that. Metal Gear Solid is probably one of my favorite series of all time. No, it is one of my favorites. It is my favorite series of all time. I've played every single game there is, aside from the PSP titles because I don't have a PSP. But yeah, I've played every single game there is, and it's one of my favorite, just not only franchise but genre. I love like the stealth action and stuff like that, and the third person, and it's just great. I love it, and every game has always stepped it up in like quality, and has always made me proud to be like a fan. It was one of those series that I never really like was underwhelmed or very, I guess, worried about if the next game was going to be good, because I always knew the next game was going to be good. And it's just one of those series that I had faith in, that every game was always going to be top-notch quality, top-notch gameplay, just top-notch story, everything. I know it's convoluted to some people, but it's one of those games I also like that it stays true to like its, I guess, philosophy, in that it's each game is a continuation, except Metal Gear Solid 3, I guess. But each game is a continuation of the previous. So yeah, they do a little bit of hand holding in the beginning, but nothing too drastic to where it feels like it's alienating its fan base. So yeah, especially like with Metal Gear Solid 5, it's gonna throw a whole bunch of stuff at you, and if you haven't played the previous games, obviously you're gonna be a little bit lost. So if you do end up playing Metal Gear Solid 5, I suggest you play the previous games beforehand, because it's almost necessary. Because I mean, I know there's videos out there that will like tell you the story and stuff like that, but if you want the experience yourself, I would definitely recommend like getting the Legacy Collection for the PS3 if you can. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I mean, I know I wanted to just get how much of a fan I am for Metal Gear Solid, but my main my main topic I want to talk about was what's going on with Hideo Kojima and Konami at the moment. It was reported not a while ago, but like this week, that Hideo Kojima and Konami were splitting. Like Hideo Kojima was leaving, and that comes to no surprise, because it feels like for a while now he's been trying to leave the franchise, but for some reason he just cannot leave. Every game since Metal Gear Solid 3 is like, oh, this is the last game. Oh, this is the last game. Seriously, guys, this is the last game. Totes, like, like I mean it this time. Like, it's the last game. So it really didn't surprise me that for a while he's been saying, oh, I want to move on and do something else. So I kind of expected him to leave. But the way it's going down, it seems like he's not leaving on his own will anymore. He's being kicked out. And for whatever reason, Konami is like just... And that might be because of like the Japanese culture, is because they're very like formal, I guess you could say. That they don't really take into consideration like stuff like how the fans will react, or the quality that will happen if he leaves the series and stuff like that. The Japanese market, I mean, I don't mean to like offend anybody like in the Japanese area or even in the Asian market or anything like that, but it seems to me that in the Japanese market, they're very disconnected with the rest of the world. They like to stick with their own ideals and their own stuff that they like to do, and what works over there. For example, like Nintendo. Nintendo is a good example of, and sometimes it could be a good thing, but like Nintendo, they stick to what they do. Like with the Wii U, they know that, or they knew that it was going to be less inferior than like the Xbox One and PS4, but they stuck with that because that's where they are. That's what their ideals are. They like to do more with less, I guess you could say, in terms of like quantity. Same thing with the Wii. The Wii was very underpowered for its time. It came out the same time as like the PS3, but it sold like hotcakes. So I guess that was, more of more incentive to do that again with the Wii U. Using old hardware and pushing out new titles. And granted, Nintendo titles have never been about quality, or not quality, but never been about like the high-end graphics and stuff like that. They've never been about that, but it's always been about gameplay and just like pure fun. So I guess I can't fault them for that, but there's a lot more you can do with better hardware and software and stuff like that. So yeah, they do that. So it seems like, and even like Capcom is like, they're stuck in their ways, and they just, it's hard for them to adapt into like the Western market or even the European market, and just different types of ideals and ways and ways of thinking. They just can't grasp it for some reason, or they don't want to. I don't know. And Hideo Kojima was probably the very one of the very few that actually took a franchise and molded it based on like what's popular in different markets. Like with the Western market, it's very popular to be like a shooter based game and have like a lot of blood and guts and gore and stuff like that. In Japan, it's frowned upon to have like blood and gore and dismemberment and stuff like that. But um they're starting to do that now, especially like with Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. That was a game about dismemberment and stuff like that. So Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions, which is a studio, they open the door to like different ideas, and that's what I like. They mold and they base everything that's going on in their game about what's going on in like the West and different other areas of the world. So, and that's one of the things that stuck out with me. But it seems like with Konami, they don't want him to stop making Metal Gear Solid. So it's kind of just like a clashing of Konami wanting to keep making Metal Gear Solid, but Kojima wanting to move away, and wanting to just do what he wants to do. Now I could have seen a situation where they parted ways amicably. He gives his blessing to whichever studio takes on Metal Gear after he leaves, and then he can move on to what he's doing. He's doing Silent Hills now, and I know he said he has other projects he's working on that he hasn't really talked about yet, but he wants to do and move forward with. He could have done that and easily have transitioned himself into a new game while Metal Gear Solid continues. But I guess something happened where I guess he upset somebody at Konami, and I guess it's very personal what's going on now, because not only is he being ousted, but now his name is being removed from the games entirely. Like, if you look at the packaging, and if you even look at the website, no mention of Kojima Productions or Hideo Kojima at all. It's just Metal Gear Solid, and then that's it. If you look at before, it was he used to have his thing where it says a Hideo Kojima game on top of the logo, and that was his staple, because he was the guy who you bought games for. You knew with Metal Gear Solid, you were gonna get Hideo Kojima, and with his mind and his expertise and his level of like perfectionism and just stuff like that, you knew you were gonna get a quality game. But they've removed that, so now it seems like they're trying to make it so that way newcomers into the series don't see that, and they don't associate Metal Gear Solid with Hideo Kojima. But I think it's gonna backfire, because not only will they see the work that he's done before, because obviously they can't change each game that's already been played. And I mean, unless they put out a patch that just takes out his name across the title, which is in the game when you play it. It says a Hideo Kojima game, or it says director Hideo Kojima, so people will know that it's his game. Um, but it's gonna backfire because they're gonna see that, and they're gonna know it. No matter how much they try to hide it, they're going to know what who made the game and what made the game great. Because that's Metal Gear Solid's fan base, and I don't think they're gonna be able to shake that. Now it seems like they're gonna be doing a brand new series, kind of like a reboot, but maybe it just might be its own timeline, or maybe it'll be like just separate from the series. Like it'll have references towards the main series. Like Metal Gear Solid is going to be about Solid Snake and Big Boss, and the snakes and whatever, their story and their timeline and their saga, I guess you could say. But I guess this new Metal Gear series, which they've already said that they're working on, they're hiring new people to do it, is gonna be different and just new. That's what they focused on. They emphasized new in terms of like the series and where it's gonna go. And it's not even called Metal Gear Solid. It's just called Metal Gear, and a new Metal Gear is what they're calling it. So I'm not sure how to feel about that yet. I mean, obviously, as a fan of Metal Gear Solid, just the thought of a Metal Gear Solid game. Now you could put the PSP titles off to the side, because those are kind of like spin-offs. They're not canon. They're not really important. And Hideo Kojima said himself that any PSP game is not canon, including Portable Ops, which a lot of people feel that was a canon, and it tried to be canon, but he said it's not canon. So yeah, just the thought of it not having Hideo Kojima, and even Kojima Production, because apparently that's being disbanded too. So not only is Kojima leaving, but his team that made the game is leaving. Now I would be a little bit more comfortable with the fact that Metal Gear Solid is continuing if the original team was still working on it, but they're not. It's not like a situation where like Dark Souls, I guess you could say, where it was just the director that left, but the team that made it was still making it. No, it's gonna be an entirely new team, a new director, new everything. It's gonna be brand new, and that's the part that scares me, because this franchise, and like I said earlier, this franchise has been one of those franchises that has not had a single bad game in the main series, I guess you could say. Not the spin-offs, but in the main series, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, Peace Walker, and Metal Gear Solid 5. It hasn't had a bad game. So it's just the thought of a new take on it scares me, because it's up in the air. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know who's gonna take control, what they're gonna do with it, if they're gonna make it like action oriented, or if they're gonna turn it into something completely different other than what it has been for the past like 10-15 years. Yeah, it's scary. I don't like it. But I will withhold judgment, because I don't know. There have been times where a game company has surprised me in what they do with a franchise that they're not accustomed to. I can't think of off the top of my head, but I know there's some examples out there that of a franchise that has a new developer, director, whatever, and they did pretty good. But it's just, I don't know. It's just Metal Gear Solid has such a place in my heart that I just can't look at it any other way. Like, there's no other way I can look at Metal Gear. And if they change it, it's just gonna be that much bad for the series, or that much worse for the series, I could say. So it's just, I don't know. Just thinking about it just gets me all worked up, and I'm just so angry. But I want to look at the bright side of this, because a part of me feels like Metal Gear Solid kinda did need a reboot, in the sense that the story had to be retconned. And if you don't know what retcon means, it means when the story is changed from title to title, where, like, let's say something happens in Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, something happens, but they say something else happened in Metal Gear Solid 1. other than what actually happened. That's called retconning. So that way it fits better with the storyline going forward. That's usually due to the I guess not. This is a bad way to say, it, but lack of foresight, because I guess they didn't see. And like I said, Hideo Kojima said he wasn't gonna make any more. So I guess he didn't see himself making so much games after that game. So he didn't really think about the story going forward. So retcons do happen from time to time, but I guess because the story was so convoluted and so confusing and so just all over the place, that a lot of retconning had to be done, so it fits better with the story that he's trying to tell with that game. Now, um, like I said, part of me feels like it would be a good thing to get a fresh take on the Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear universe, because it was very confusing and there's still some stuff I'm confused about that I would like to know. And I mean, Kojima said that Metal Gear Solid 5 will answer a lot of questions, but he says that about every game, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be more questions afterwards. But I would like to see. I'm interested. I wouldn't say I would like to see. I'm very curious about what they're gonna do with the new series and how they're gonna take it and what story they're gonna tell. Also, Kojima finally has his out, and he's actually taking a lot of the key people from his studio, Kojima Productions, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna be doing a new studio. Whether it be like an indie studio where he does everything on his own, and then maybe he'll go with a publisher, or maybe he'll get signed to a publisher, like a reputable publisher, because people know, the gaming industry knows how big Hideo Kojima's name is and what his name means for a game and the level of quality that goes into each game he makes. So I can see every publisher just like chomping at the bit trying to get him to be with them, like whether it be, I don't know, like Bethesda, because Kenji Inafune, I think that's how you pronounce it, the creator of Resident Evil, he left Capcom, and you obviously know what happened with that. Resident Evil hasn't been the same since Resident Evil 4, which is arguably the best Resident Evil in the series. So yeah, when he left, he went with Bethesda and made Evil Within, which is like a spiritual successor to Resident Evil, but it's like more horror and not just specifically just zombies. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and I have it. I played it. It's awesome and it's great. So just thinking in that sense, where Kojima can now be in that situation where he can go and make the games he's been wanting to make since he decided to stop making Metal Gear Solid all those years ago. So it's just the idea of him doing what he wants to do and not what Konami wants him to do is just, it gets me excited. I know it'll be years off, and he has to, it just happened this week, so it's gonna be a few years before we start hearing about what his next game is gonna be, but I'm still excited nonetheless. So yeah, I mean, I know Metal Gear Solid will still have a special place in my heart, but it's gonna stop with Metal Gear Solid 5. And Kojima has said that he and his team are 100% behind Metal Gear Solid 5 and making it the absolute best game he can possibly make it. And I had no doubt he was gonna do that regardless of what happened, like with him and Konami and stuff like that. But it gives me faith that I'm gonna like Metal Gear Solid 5. I knew I was gonna like it, but now I'm even after all this, I'm still hyped for it. Even though I would not want to support Konami after this, after all this stuff they do, and it's very dastardly and very underhanded stuff, like just removing his name from the packaging and stuff like that. That's a low blow, guys. That's very amateur for a big company like Konami to do that. I don't know. It's very, I don't know. It's unprofessional. There you go. That's the word. But yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna get it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna keep playing it. That's probably gonna be my #1 played game ever. But it's so big, like in the scope, and even Ground Zeroes is it's so much fun. Like I still play it to this day. As you can see, because I'm playing it right now. I mean, I'm not playing it right now. I'm recording this beforehand, and I'm gonna record some footage after the fact and just edit it all together. But yeah, it's just I'm I'm excited, but I'm also worried. So I know a lot of people are like that too. So I mean, hopefully, maybe things will get better, and maybe there's a chance that he could stay with Konami. Because another thing I've been thinking about is the what's gonna happen with Silent Hills, because I know he's been working on it, and I've never been a fan of Silent Hill, but just the fact that it has like Kojima behind it, and the stuff that he did in PT, the playable teaser, just shows how much he can do with the horror genre, and it gets me curious as to like what he could have done if he were to stay. So I hope maybe eventually, like if things cool down, he could stay with Konami, because he's not out yet. He has till the end of December. That's when their contract runs out, and anything can happen between now and then. So my hope is that he does stay with Konami, things heal up between them, and they work together, you know, to just make sure everything goes according to plan, and make sure the Metal Gear Solid series is in good hands. Because I hope, my one hope was that, because I knew they were gonna make a new Metal Gear Solid series eventually. My hope was that they were gonna have Kojima handpick who was gonna be heading the stuff and making it and stuff like that. Like he was gonna oversee the project to make sure it was good. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I know I've rambled a whole bunch, and I've probably just been talking and talking. Nobody's gonna listen, but I just had to get my opinion out there, because everybody's been getting their opinion, and there's only so much I can hold back, to the point where I'm just like, I just want to yell and scream it out to everybody about how I feel and stuff like that. Because I feel like I don't know too much people who are this passionate as I am about Metal Gear Solid. Um, so it's hard for me to just talk about this stuff, or not talk about it rather, and just let it happen. So I'm just using this as an outlet. And yeah, so those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts about this whole situation? I mean, I know I basically said what a lot of people were thinking, but I know there's some people out there who have different takes on it that I haven't heard yet. So if you have an opinion about this that is different from what I said, leave it in the comments, and we can talk about it. Because if there's anything I would love to talk about for like hours and hours, it's just Metal Gear Solid. I've already gone like 22 minutes on here just talking about this stuff, and I could keep going, honestly, but I know I gotta keep it short, because it's it's kind of long. But yeah, those are my comments. Yeah, check out my other videos. Check out me and Sierra's other videos, and where we're playing Resident Evil Revelations 2, which is actually a really good game. That's probably the first Resident Evil game that I've liked since Resident Evil 4. I know I've liked Resident Evil 5, but not the same. It wasn't as good. But Revelations 2 is doing a good job. So yeah, check those out. Check out my beautiful Joe Let's Play, and check out our other videos. And we're gonna be having a whole bunch of new videos coming out soon. So stay tuned. Subscribe. I know a lot of people say that. I know it's cliche, but it would help if you guys subscribed and share this video. Definitely share this with people who you think would love Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that, or who love Metal Gear Solid and would just love to talk about it. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. See ya.